Welcome to the Confident and Courageous Clarity Podcast with me, Jateya Jones. Join us weekly for everything clarity. The truth is, once you have clarity, you'll have the confidence and courage to succeed in life and business. If you're new to the podcast, you should know my goal is to help you gain the clarity needed to transform your visions, goals, or dreams into reality. So let's jump right into today's episode. For my OG listeners, you all know that the podcast was birthed from the evolution of Mocha Monday's Tip of the Week. So when we moved to the podcast, I couldn't just leave you without your mocha. Therefore, at the beginning of each episode, I give you your drop of mocha, and you are to implement it throughout the week to help inch you closer and closer to clarity. This week's drop of mocha is: don't be so attached to who you are and where you are that you miss who you're supposed to become and where you're supposed to go. This week's guest, Courage Molina, is a faith coach and everyone's favorite Bible teacher. It's no surprise that her life's work is to help ambitious, purpose-driven women to build extraordinary faith so that they have the confidence to go after the life they really want. She believes the foundation of becoming your most bold, confident, and courageous self is in the daily habit of studying and applying the Word of God to your life. As the lead minister for the Dose of Courage community, a women's Bible study ministry, she leads a weekly online Bible study for women entrepreneurs all across the globe. Through her online school, Courage Molina University, her courses teach women how to build routines, habits, and mindsets that will support them on their journey to greatness. Courage is also an author and the host of the award-winning podcast Dose of Courage. She's a wife and mother of 3 currently living in North Carolina. I'm so excited for you to hear what she has to share. So let's get into it. Hello, Mamacita.
Hey.
How you doing?
I'm so good. I'm so excited to be here.
And I am too, because, I know like whenever we talk, it's just always so good. It's just always so good. So I'm excited about today. I'm going to ask you a few questions along the way, but the rest is just chit chat and girlfriend conversation that you can let the good people of the world know what it takes to be confident and courageous once they get that clarity. So yes, they've heard your bio, they got their drop of mocha, but let the people know who you are, what you do.
I am the Courage Molina. Put that B in it, that carry a little weight, don't it? I am Courage Molina. I'm a faith coach, a pastor, and everyone's favorite Bible teacher. I help purpose-driven, ambitious women to build extraordinary faith so that they can become bolder, more confident, and courageous and go out and be, do, and have everything God said they could without apologizing or hesitating, any of those things, right? I'm a published author, podcast host. I run an online school, which I founded, Courage Molina University, and also the founder of Dose of Courage Community, which is an online global church for women. So it's super dope.
It makes me so happy.
I know. I'm like, am I gonna say it? I've been practicing in the shower, like.
Just so you guys know, for the longest, because I call Courage my Jesus thug. I absolutely love her. She keeps it real and uncut in the way that I need it, right? But for the longest, she's like, I'm not church. This is not church. Yeah. We're not going to do church. So when she just said church, I was like,
let's just, I think like sometimes we don't want to call it what it is because of all of the assumptions that come with it. But it's like, but if it is a duck, you know what I'm saying? It might be an unusual. If it is a duck, then don't create a new neighbor. Just call it a duck, girl. If it's a church, just call it well, it's actually when we all come together and we convert, like, girl, stop. It's the church. Okay. Move on. Next. So yeah. So I've accepted it, so it's fine.
That is the key word. And that's where your podcast falls under the ABCs of clarity is acceptance, right? Because acceptance is so, it's number one for a reason. Like it's huge, it's freeing, but it's a hard pill to swallow.
Mhm.
It's like you just said, so many of us, we want to call it something that is not, or we want to, and that's mainly just to not accept that it is what it is, right? But that thing, that day that you actually accepted, girl, it's a whole new
It
world.
really is.
And the
It
way it just
really
flows
is.
off your tongue.
And I know, because you want me to tell you a secret?
Go ahead,
I'm
go
not
ahead.
talking about it. Shh, don't tell nobody. The truth is that it's something that I've always wanted, right? Maybe not always, not my whole life. Let me not say that because I had a different type of life. Not my whole life. That's not what I mean. But it is something I've wanted secretly, quietly. It's something I wanted to be worthy of. And when it's difficult for you to accept, the call on your life, when it's difficult for you to accept your purpose and your place, it's really an indicator of like a lack of self-confidence. Sometimes it's a lack of like you don't feel worthy to say this thing, like you are somehow not enough to say that this is what you do, even though it's what you've been doing, it's what you want to do anyway. So yeah, it took a minute, but now I'm here. Started from the bottom, now I'm here. Just kidding.
Hey, they know we are hood and holy over here on this side of the world, so it is what it is. But no, that's really, really real. And you're right. You hit the nail on the head and just really gave clarity to so many people. I hope y'all caught that. But basically, if you're not accepting, especially when it comes to you, we've talked about accepting people for where they are. That's a whole different story for another day. But when it comes to you, it's really about your feelings about self and whether or not you're going to accept it. And we feel like it's so many other things. We'll say, well, the people in my community, they're not going to pay that price. Or, my family always said, I don't get too big for your britches. Or it's always something else. And yes, those things do chip away at how you think and feel about yourself. But at the end of the day, once you're clear about that, now what?
Yeah.
What you gonna do about it? What you gonna do about it?
Yeah.
Be
I
about
think
it.
sometimes it makes it hard too, like if you've not seen it before, if you've not seen it in your community, in your family, if the thing that you're doing, you've never seen, it's not to say that it doesn't exist on the other side of the world or like right down the street, actually, might be even in your neighborhood. You just don't know that it exists. It's like, well, I don't see anybody else doing this. Like I know sometimes it's like, oh, everybody else is doing this, so I don't know if I can do it. But I think sometimes it's also like nobody else is doing it the way I want to do it. I've never seen it done like this. Well, you never saw an iPhone before the first iPhone, right? That's something that happens, right? We never saw Zoom until we saw Zoom. Do you remember when the internet became a thing? I remember
Girl,
hearing about it. First of all, we lived in the boondocks. I remember the house we were staying in. So I had to be very young. I was probably in elementary school, maybe. And my cousin lived in Germany at the time.
okay.
That was in the military. I remember thinking, oh, that would be so crazy. I could talk to her while she's in Germany and it's not long distance. I was just like, this, I never heard. It was like George Jetson. They're things that didn't exist until they exist. So be a pioneer. Get too big for your
Mm-mm.
britches. Like it's fine.
Come on. And most people most of our family that says it's loving out of fear is what I call it, right? They don't want you to put yourself in a position that's going to harm yourself or cause you more angst, right? But at the end of the day, be that trailblazer. It's hard.
It is.
And normally it's lonely, but you'll eventually get your tribe. So like what is that thing that you've had to accept about your past, present, or future to free you to reach infinite heights in business?
I think I had to let go of my past, present, or future to free me to get to infinite heights. Um, that the life that I've been called to. So I'm the Chief Courage Crusader. And that is such a great like branding thing to say. And I say things like embrace courage as a lifestyle and courage is my name and all these things. And I was crowned courage at 6 months. It's so super cute. But what I realized I have to let go of is this idea that I'm going to get to a place in life where I'm not experiencing any fear or doubt, right? Where I'm not experiencing any uncertainty. That's just not a thing. If I'm going to lead people in facing their fears because I've been called by God to do it, I will be required to live it. And I don't like that actually. Like
None of us do. None of us do, but you're so right. You're so right.
I don't actually enjoy it. I don't like being worried about things. But what takes courage? Like courage only exists when there is a lot of doubt. Courage is only required when there's fear, when you are scared to do something. That's what makes a person courageous. You're not courageous when you do the thing that you know you can do. I mean, that's what's up. You're responsible, you're assertive. It doesn't take courage to do what you know how to do. It takes courage to do the things that scare you. It takes courage to do things while you are afraid. It takes courage to lead while you're learning. Sometimes we want to sit down and be like, well, I'm not going to lead until I've learned. No, real courage is saying, follow me and falling down while you lead and be like, oh, that's my, I failed, but I got back up. Like it takes courage to do that. That's something I've got to let go of, this idea that I'm not going to have to face those things if I'm going to get my business and the church to where in my heart I want it to be. So.
That's so good and so real because no matter the focus of your business or your purpose, let's just keep it in line.
Yeah.
You have to live it in order to be able to do that thing.
Mm-hmm.
I get confused. It get real cloudy. And so when I'm telling y'all brain dump, it's because it worked for me. When I'm telling you that this gonna get foggy again, it's because it's happened for me. And that is really, really real, and letting go of that thing. Because God got a sense of humor that I don't always think is funny. And one of those things is running me those examples that I don't want to live through.
Yeah.
But they make you better. They give you that clarity. And clarity is what breeds that confidence and that courage. Like once you become clear, you walk through it. Now I know how to do it.
Yeah.
I know I'm not gonna do that again. I might try something, but I'm not gonna do that over there. We're not gonna do no more.
On what not to do. I can definitely tell you how not to do it. Now I might not have found a smooth path, but I got a whole list of like that ain't work. That ain't work.
It's like playing Minecraft with the cliff notes and the cheat sheets. Don't go 2 to the left and 1 to the right. Just go straight for about 5 blocks, and then we're gonna save you. That's the whole purpose of having a coach, is saving you from bumping your head as many times as you possibly could have, because we've done it. And letting go of the perfectionism, Hershey me. So yeah, that's really, really good. Really, really good. I want to dig in just a little bit because some people may know you. All the pizza peers, I know they know you. But for the people that don't know you, can you please tell them a little bit about your story and how you really didn't want to accept your purpose?
Yes, of course. So I'm definitely going to give you the cliff notes. You can get the full detail if you buy the book, Power Principles of Courageous Living, available on Amazon. Short, right? I grew up poor, whatever, grew up in the hood, raised by teen parents. I was pregnant by 9th grade and had 3 kids before I was 21. As life would have it, probably around like my young 20s, my early 20s is when I first started to experience just like these difficulties in life with my now husband. We were just dumb. Honestly, we were very young. We were teen parents, and so all the drama that you see in a hood relationship on those movies, and it's like they fighting back and forth and he going to jail and cheating, and it's all that hot, like just that it's great cinematography, but real life, it leaves you scarred and doubting yourself and low self-esteem. But it wasn't until, maybe years after that that I realized that I was depressed. My marriage was an absolute mess. Had a very close relative that was diagnosed and died from cancer. That shook everything I thought I knew about faith, and that was like, it was the catalyst for my breakdown. Whatever I had, like whatever was holding me together so I could go through the motions before then, it was completely disintegrated. By the time that happened, it was gone. There was no trace of it. I was drinking every day. I know sometimes we don't think that we're functioning alcoholics, but if you are drinking to cope, not just like drinking because it's fun, right? I'm cool with that. But you're drinking to cope. And I was drinking every single day, every day. I even drank with breakfast, not a mimosa, Southern Comfort. You understand what I'm saying? Like, Southern Comfort and pancakes, you might have a problem, friends. And so, but I didn't know it at the time. And I got to a place where I was suicidal. I was begging for death. I left the house to find traffic to run into, and I was sitting in a parking lot, like, where am I gonna go? Because I don't want to be maimed. I don't want to start an accident. Like, I don't just want there to be like I want to get hit and I want to be killed on impact, right? Like, where can I go? So I'm crying. I don't even know where to go. How far do I have to walk? And then my friend Olivia came pulling into the parking lot, and I was thinking, is that Olivia? And it was Olivia. She like, I was like, if she can hit me, that could be good. And then she got out the car. She was like, what are you doing? I was like, how are you here? How are you not at work? I was so confused. And she was like, a friend called her because she was worried. She tried calling me and it just didn't sit right. I was like, so you left your job? Because she didn't talk to me. I ain't been missing. It's just she didn't talk to me this morning. So you left your job to come? She was like, yes. She's like, she's very convincing. And we know you've been lost your mind. I was like, oh, y'all know? She was like, yes, we know. I was like, I didn't, I thought I was doing a great job of hiding it. She was like, no, we knew, we talk about you. We are praying for you. We are on rotation. Somebody's responsible for checking in with you for the week. Like, you are on suicide watch. Then I was crying about that. I was like, y'all don't need me. Y'all don't need this. It's just a mess. And after a while, it's like, either I'm going to die or I had to get back to pretend living. So I got back to pretend living. So I did a better job of hiding it, right? I still didn't feel well on the inside. And I had this lady invite me to this church. And I went to this church, Elevation. And Pastor Stephen Furtick preached in a way that made me feel like he really knew God. And I grew up going to church. I'm not saying that other pastors don't know God, but there's just a way that he delivered his sermon. He preached like the amount of insight he had. I was like, he really seemed like he really knows God. Like, he's not just like preaching. Like, he seemed like he actually know him. That was just so weird to me. I was like, wow. And so I continued to go. Things didn't change, but I continued to go. And then one day I was like, I wonder, like, maybe I could give God a chance for real and not just like go through the motions. And he preached this sermon on tithing, giving 10%, your first fruits, whether it's your time or your money or whatever to serve the kingdom. He was talking about volunteering at church and obviously giving, being generous or whatever. But and he was talking about like the blessings that are for the giver and that God gives seed to the sower. And I was like, I wonder what it would look like if I gave 10% of my day to the word of God. I was like, that's 2 hours and 24 minutes. Anybody got time for that? I was like, oh no. I was like, I was a teacher. I had 3 school-age kids. I was married. I had a cat and a dog. Ain't nobody got no 2 hours and 24 minutes to be in no Bible every day. Like, I'm not about to do that. No. I was like, no. I was like, that was cute. Put it right back in my pocket. But like, it just wouldn't leave me. The thought wouldn't leave me. And so I started, I didn't start with 224, but my goal was to get there. And I read everything I could get my hands on that could help me better understand the Bible. It was like I was trying to get a PhD in Jesus, like real talk. And that completely changed me. And when I got to the other side, when I became free, when I overcame depression, I was like, oh my gosh, It's so like, it's so great. Life is so wonderful. I'm so happy. How are other people more happy? You know, what are people do they know that they can, like, I just thought, like, if I had known this, I might not have been so miserable. Like, why didn't anybody tell me? It was like this on the other side, you know? And so that was the first time that I wasn't like a Christian by culture. I was a disciple of the word. Like, I follow the word. I like Jesus. That's why I'm so loosey goosey too, because I don't have the restrictions that tradition and culture dictates. Like, if the Lord didn't say it to me, because he could talk to me, I don't need you telling me nothing. If the Lord didn't say it to me, then you can miss me mostly with it, right? Because I'm reading it, I'm studying, I'm changing every day at the pace that is for me and God. So I don't have those other, like, well, I have to wear, denim skirt and the teach. I don't have to do, or you can't listen to it. No, I can listen to whatever, I do whatever I want. And that's the thing. I do whatever I want, but I've grown to a place where there are things I don't want to do because I'm like, oh man, I just want God to be so proud of me. I want him to be like, yeah, there go my baby girl. You see my baby. I'm Charles, she did that. My baby did that. Y'all saw that, Paul. You saw my girl this morning. You saw her. Like, that's how I want him to be. I want him to be like dapping somebody up in heaven about me. And so that's what makes me give things up. Like, if I feel convicted about something, I'm like, oh, I want the Lord to be so proud of me. And so I wanted to help people, right? I knew I had a purpose. I just didn't want to help them with the Bible, which I know is funny, but I didn't want to help. I wanted to talk Bible all the time, but I just wanted other people who also like the Bible as much as I do to talk. But nobody I know is studying their Bible 2 hours 24 minutes. So
No, ma'am.
So I'm like, I just want to talk to people about Bible, but I don't want to do that. Like, I don't want that as a job. It's something I really like it. So I just want to talk about it. So I try to do all these other things that I'm good at, right? Like with curriculum, I created curriculum for school boards and things like that. And so I thought I could start a business, and I did, where I help people to create curriculum, or where they hired me to create curriculum. And so I did that for Volusia County. I did it for some nonprofit organizations. They licensed something. They said, this is what we want, how many weeks, and I could create the whole package. And I thought, well, that's what I can do. But it was a lot of hard work. And then I was like, oh, I can do some VIP coaching about content and all these things. And it got me to where I am. And I quit my job in 2017. So it got me to a place. And I've had some successes for sure. I have a publishing company. We don't really advertise it a lot, but we have published, we publish people. We publish my own book. We've also helped other authors to be self-publishers, that kind of thing. But I don't want to talk about that. And here's the problem. I'm going to give y'all some free business advice, okay? I don't care who you are. I don't care how good you are. I don't care about none of that. Anything you want to sell, you have to be willing to market, which means talking about it. It doesn't matter if you're good. Like, you could be excellent at doing hair, but if you don't want to talk about doing hair, you're not about to have no business doing nobody's hair. Okay? It's just not going to happen. You have to market it. So it's like, I was really good at those things, but I don't want to talk about curriculum. If you call me up, if somebody calls me with a contract or something, I don't know how they will know. If somehow they heard in the grapevine and they call me, you understand what I'm saying? Then I'll do it. But if I have to talk about it to sell it, I'm gonna be poor. And I was like, we struggled so much because it was like, I had a program, but I don't want to talk about that. I just want to talk about God. But I kept saying, like, I don't want a church. I don't want to preach. I don't want to be poor. Listen, this is what I think. This is what I thought. I thought, okay, I don't want to, I've been poor, so y'all can miss me with the whatever. I have lived under poverty. I want to try something different, okay? Been there, done that, got all the t-shirts, the scars to prove it, okay? I'm cool. I know money don't make you happy. Broke don't make me happy neither. Just saying, you understand?
Come on now. Come on now.
I thought the only way that I could have the wealth that I aspired to have was if I had a church, like I was a pastor, like a mega. If I'm going to be in ministry and I'm going to have wealth, then that means I'm going to have a mega church. I don't want no church though. I'm like, so that is not going to work. So if I go into ministry, I'm going to be poor because I don't want a church. And that's really the only thing I can think of that is going to, I don't know how else. I don't know how else you could teach Bible and make it. I just don't know how you could do it. But I used to think like, man, it would be so cool if I could be wealthy, like I could build wealth because I study the Bible. Like people are like, oh, what do you want to do? I'm like, real talk. It would be so cool if I got paid to study the Bible. I'm like, that would be dope. It took a long time. I mean, 2020. It took till 2020. And listen, I have been ordained. I became ordained. I became an ordained minister. I've married people, right? Since like 2000, I think like 18. You didn't know that, did you? Nobody know. I mean, I guess they know now, but
Look, ma'am, this whole thing of talking about it, like the first time I found out you had a publishing company, I was like, shut the front door. Why didn't I know this, right? But come on now.
Yeah. Married people.
Weddings.
Yeah. Yes, I've done weddings. Yes. So it's like, but I didn't say anything, right? I'm like, I said, I only got ordained so I could marry my sister, so I could do my sister's wedding. But I'd already been studying so much, and I had already been leading Bible study for church, for Elevation. They have e-groups. And I was like, I just led those, and I love to lead those because I like to talk about Bible. And so I was like, well, it's fine. At least I'm not like a fake minister. You know what I'm saying? Like, at least I believe in this thing. I'm like, I did get it online, but I do believe in it. So it's fine. Right. And so, but I didn't tell anybody. And it wasn't until 2020. Now, anybody who knows me knows I talk about Bible all the time. So it's not that part. It's not a secret. There's not anyone who's like, oh my gosh. I taught high school. My kids knew. I was invited to speak at a summer camp, and I went to the summer camp, and most of my students were there. And there were other parents there and people obviously that I didn't know. And this lady came up to me afterwards. She was like, how do you feel? And I was like, oh, I feel great. She was like, yeah, but now your students know, what your beliefs are or whatever. I was like, oh, that's not new to them. I'm like, they know me. And she's like, well, you can't talk about church at school. I was like, I will talk about Jesus wherever I want. I'm not preaching to the class, but if every weekend they're like, Miss Molina, what you do this weekend? And every weekend I'm like, oh, I did this and I went to church. After you say that 8 weeks in a row, they're like, boy, you like church, huh, Miss Molina? I'm like, yes, you heathen, I do. You know what I mean? Like, so nobody's surprised. Nobody in my life is like, oh my gosh, I never knew. It was just always like a side thing. I needed to do something else. I was like, I'm going to be a confidence coach. I'm going to be a courage coach. Patrice Washington, rude, went on a live. Rude. Patrice Cunningham Washington, okay? Founder and head coach, chief purpose chaser, a purpose to platform. She did this live back in December. She was talking about purpose of platform and the coaches that they would have. And she was saying, we'll have a clarity coach and we'll have a this coach, mindset coach, strategy coach. And then she said, we'll have a faith coach. I was so unhappy. I was so unhappy. I was like, first of all, I never told her I was no faith coach. I never told her I wanted to be called a faith coach. I never told her I wanted to be named a faith coach. I never said that's what I do. I don't know why she would say that. Why would she relegate me to just come on, like you're a psychopath, to just, be in faith? I was like, I texted her. I was like, man. She was like, well, what else would you be? I was like, you're so gross. Like, you're so rude. She was like, I mean, that's what you do. And so that was before December. That was probably like November-ish. In December of 2020, I kept saying, I miss Bible study. The pandemic happened. And I kept saying, oh, I miss Bible study. I miss Bible study. My friend was like, no, you don't. I was like, I do. She was like, You can't miss nothing you can have. Just like, it was Olivia. She rude. I know a lot of rude people. I need new friends, guys. DM me if you're nice.
Listen, you have the best friends. Like the squad is stacked deck.
I need
And
nice
that's
friends.
what friends are for. Nope. That's what friends are for. They are here to tell you the truth in the way that you can receive it. Because they can't sugarcoat nothing with you, and you be like, okay, no.
Exactly. It's like, how you miss something you can have? I was like, oh, I can't. It's like, because I've been teaching Bible study for forever. So I was like, oh, okay, let's do this Bible study. I want to do it again. I was feeling away because God had told me early on in 2020, like in January, I had my first conference, was it Faith Activated? Don't make me lie. Faith Ignited. That's what it was. I'm in Faith Activated. That's why I thought of that. Faith Ignited, right? It was that conference. And it was my first one. And in January, I was like, okay, what do we do after this conference? This conference was so great. It had some momentum. What should we do? And the Lord told me to start an online ministry. And I was like, I felt so offended by the Lord. Because I was like, I can never have nothing like actually real. You want to give me this. It's not even a real ministry. It's online. What? I'm like, why do you have to treat me this way? And so I kind of did it as a technicality, right? So I started an online group as a technicality. So I can be like, I technically did it. But I didn't serve them. I just created it and continued to go. Then in March of 2020, the world shut down. And as a volunteer leader at Elevation Church, Matthews, I was asked to come in with other volunteers, or probably 50 of us, to help transition Elevation Church to a place where they had more of an online presence. And it still didn't dawn on me, like, online ministry is gonna be like online church about to be the thing. Like it was nothing I'd ever seen before, never heard of it before. It seems like something that's like low-key downplayed, like, oh, she got a minute, yeah, it's online shop. Like it just didn't seem at the time like a real thing. And to be in that room, seeing that people were getting Facebook accounts who never had Facebook accounts because they were desperate to stay connected during the shutdown at a time when we wouldn't be able to gather together in the same space. It wasn't for like a couple weeks of me doing that training that I was like, the Lord told me to do this. And I didn't do it. So in December, I was like, let's go. And we started Bible study up. I started Bible study up again, online Zoom. Maybe like 7 women signed up. Have nearly 300 women signed up, over 600 women in the community, about 50 to 60 in attendance live on a Saturday morning. I'm like, oh, this is like a thing. And then Olivia, she's my brand strategist. She looks at the numbers. I don't really, but as I started to, every month, it was like, okay, we're being consistent. She was like, it's not just for these past few months. She was like, I look at your numbers all the time. She's like, and I'm going to tell you this. No, for as long as I have been in business, I want y'all to hear this, right? I need y'all to get this. I became full-time entrepreneur in 2017. From 2017 to 2020, early 2021, when I started to really look at the numbers, right, and be informed by the numbers. Nothing I've done as an entrepreneur has been as successful financially or growth-wise than the ministry work than the Bible stuff that I do. Nothing. I've had other online courses at Courage Molina University, Courageous Discipleship, Courageous Living Mastermind, which is faith-based. Everything faith-based has outsold and outperformed anything I have ever put my hand to. Without it being my focus, as I treat it like a side chick. So your girl's married to the ministry these days. I just want to get married. Meet me at the altar in your white. Whoa. You know what I'm saying?
I want you to know I was singing that song all freaking day long after Bible study. I just want you to know it's been in my head on repeat. ever since Bible study on Saturday, okay?
Married to my purpose. I'm married to my calling. I'm married to the ministry now. No more side chick life.
You
Done.
said so many things that like make my brain do this. Number one, you know, I'm so big on getting people clear on what they do, because once you know what you do, you can make money doing you.
Mhm.
And the fact that everything, without you trying, without you paying attention to it, without you trying to be like, okay, I'm gonna strategically do this, just you walking in purpose is the place that you made the most money.
So ridiculous.
And we fight it because it's not the norm. It's protocol, right? It's what you're supposed to do. You're supposed to do da 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 da. But literally, once you're clear in what you do, you can make money doing you. That is the whole sole purpose of purpose. And their purpose and poverty don't go together. And so the other thing that pops in my head is at the very beginning, you talked about the first time you heard about the internet and how excited you were and how you could talk to somebody across the globe. And that's exactly what you're doing now. Like the dots just connected for me as you were talking. And people don't really realize it's the smallest things we experience in life that are setting you up for your purpose.
Yeah.
And yes, it was the Jetsons, not George Jet. I was gonna say George Jefferson. It was the Jetsons back then, right? But all of that is pretty much reality now. We got self-driving cars. It's not really in the sky just yet. I know Uber's trying, but all of that and the fact that because it wasn't the traditional way of being in a building, that you thought it wasn't real. Right? You know? But you were ahead of your game and he gave you a download to make you ahead of the game that also made you equipped to help elevation.
Mm-hmm. It's when I think about, like, when we look at the numbers, like what she kept saying, she was like calling them out. I can argue with a lot of things. I don't know if y'all know that. Like, I can persuasive. I always talk I don't care what I'm saying. I speak with such authority all the time when I say stuff. I can pretty much argue about anything. Okay. I cannot argue with the numbers. So I'm like, well, maybe people are just saying that. People are just nice. People are just, girl, bye. Do you see these numbers on this paper? Like, stop it. And
Yo Gotti tried to tell you.
This is what you want. This is actually, you actually want to do this. So why are you fighting what you want to do? You got me so together. When I tell you, you so got me together the other day, we are not thinking about, what we feel like we've been led to do, what we've been called to do, and how we want to do it. We are still feeling like I have to do it the way the world has done it. I have to do it the way everybody else has done it, the way this other pastor has done it, the way this other business owner, this other mom or wife has done it. We have to have these same values that they had. Well, none of that is true, right? Like, we were all created differently for a very specific purpose so that that thing works for you. And you're able to do it and enjoy the work that you do, right? And, build wealth doing it. So I felt like there were so many reasons why I couldn't, right? Not just that it's not that I didn't want to. I said that I didn't want to. I was lying. Right now, like, somebody saying they don't want to do something, you lying though. But you know what I'm saying? You do want to get married. You keep saying you don't want to get married because you're not sure if you're going to get married, but you lie because you actually do want to get married, right? Or you actually do want to do these things. Like, people just, I don't know what you lying. So
it's the fear. Yeah. It's the fear.
Yeah, I'm like, I don't want to do it. But the truth is, I felt like it's impossible that God has called me to do this if he, hasn't called me to do it at the church where I'm fed. If there's no place for me at this church that I love, there's no space for me. And it's not personal. It's just that it's not how it's set up. It's not that type of, there's no system for it. There's no avenue for that, right? If there is no other church, that is going to give me a space or sanction me or say that it's okay for me to do this, somebody needs to okay me. Somebody needs to give me the approval so that I can have a discipleship program. Who said it's okay for you to create a biblical studies program to teach women? This is not Bible study. It is on steroids. It's intense, right? Who said that you could do that? Who said, like, who told you you have the right training or the right stuff? And so part of it was like, even though I feel like I'm being called to do it, I doubt the call because I can't check off any of the other boxes. Like, I'm not going to preach on Sunday. It can't be a church. Um, it, I don't serve men. It can't be a church. I'm not going to have a building like that. I'm not going to have like a choir. Somebody sent me money for bereavement. I was like, I'm going to send it back. We don't have that. She was like, you're not sending my money back. You can do whatever you want to do with it. I just thought that might be a good idea, but don't you send my money back to me. I was like, okay. She was like, I just want to bless whatever you're doing. I'm like, okay, fine. People are like, oh, we're going to tithe. We're going to tithe to Bible study. I'm like, why are y'all tithing here? You know what I'm saying? I'm like, just all these things, like, it doesn't fit this traditional look of church, so it's not church. But if you just ask yourself, forget the day of the week, forget the people who are in the congregation. If you ask yourself, what is church, right? If you ask yourself, what is church? Then Dose of Courage Community is church. Whether I call it a church, whether I make it official, whether you call me pastor, you don't. What does a pastor do? They don't. What makes you a pastor is not that you preach on Sunday. That's not it, right? That's like, oh, you talking on Sunday, like, that's not actually it. That's dumb. And so it's like, well, obviously I'm not a pastor because I don't preach, but you know what? I'm preaching what I'm teaching. And I teach
Girl,
on
every time you open your mouth, you're preaching. Okay?
done.
Every single time.
It took a long time to get here, but I'm happy to be here, right? I'm so excited to be here.
So many good things. Because you said that's not, when you ask yourself what a pastor does, what do I always say? Is what you do. It's not the how. Preaching on Sunday is your how.
Yep.
Your how is Bible study. Your how is like, it is what you do, what you naturally do. And once you know that, you're going to do it every time you open your mouth. Period.
Yeah.
And then, like you said, they hear me say all the time, let's be clear. Let's be clear on the numbers. They are important. We can't just be out here, like you say, having a side chick. But hood and holy, yo Gotti, men lie, women lie, numbers don't lie. They just don't.
Yeah.
And if they're telling you, the numbers are telling you that that's the thing, that just might be the thing, So the same thing book that I read to you the other day. I read this morning, right? And it says, your voice unlocks the greater purpose and possibility in others. And I was like, And it says, he spoke life into being, and from his words alone created something out of nothing.
Yeah.
If you build it, they will come.
Yeah.
The TV didn't exist before the TV existed. Like, our weaknesses are those we perceive to be, or 9 times out of 10, your superhero powers. That thing that makes you weird and different, 9 times out of 10 is your superhero power.
Right.
Like, you being called extra, you always doing the most. When we were younger, that was a bad thing.
Yeah.
Now it's like, here I come, right? So it's just like, I'm going to do and be me, and that is what makes people draw to you and follow you like a lighthouse. Your light shines so bright that they can't do anything but be guided to you.
Yeah.
No matter how different it looks.
Yeah. When you
and
focus,
I'm just like,
that clarity is everything. You know it.
Everything. It gives you so much more confidence and courage to do the thing because you're clear. You're clear on maybe not exactly what the next looks like, but what the end looks like.
Yeah.
You know exactly what that final thing is supposed to be. And it can be scary because he'll give you some big old downloads.
Yeah.
That you thought, oh, the little thing that I'm doing over here now was big at once upon a time. Look at me now.
Clarity lets you move. Getting
freely,
like getting clear on the end. So every December, my squad, they all right. Every December, December, we kind of do this, what worked this year. We do this passion and purpose planning, and we kind of talk about it amongst ourselves, like what worked this year, what didn't, what is it you want to do? Are you still on task with this great big vision that you have for your life? And so I was really struggling in December. In November, it was just like I couldn't make decisions. I had FOMO. I never had no FOMO. It was just it was a time in November. And I remember on the phone with the squad, and they were like, okay, let's just take a step back, right? And ask yourself, what do you want to be known for? 50 years from now, what do you want to be known for? What do you want to be known as? Where are you planting your flag? And when she said it, I thought, well, honestly, I want to be the most effective and engaging Bible teacher on the planet. And she was like, yeah, but you don't teach Bible. It's like, she was like, yeah, she's like, well, you have your discipleship program. She was like, but you don't teach Bible. Like, you literally don't even lead Bible study. And I was like, you're right. And that's not that. It was in that conversation, I was like, I really miss Bible study. But the minute that I got the clarity, forget all the other things, forget all the, how is it going to happen? Who's going to say it's okay? If I'm just in a safe space with my homegirls and we're talking about our greatest dreams, and you ask yourself, if I could really create any life that I wanted for myself, how would I build that life? What would I be doing? If I could be known for anything, if I could leave my mark, you don't have to like Michael Jackson. You know what the heck he did, though. I don't care. You ain't like Kobe. You know what he did, though.
Come on now.
You know what I'm saying? Like, you ain't gotta like, that is impact that surpasses people's feelings, thoughts, or opinions.
Mm-hmm.
Greatest, worst, don't matter. You know what I said their name, ain't nobody's like, oh, let me Google those people. No, you're not. You know who they are. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, where do you want, you want to leave this legacy of impact? That's what they've left, a legacy of impact. Where do you want to leave that? If you just ask yourself that question, like if you're just honest, and it doesn't matter how, doesn't matter if it's possible or how it's going to take, like if you could, what would you do? And if you say that, if you get that kind of clarity, then the how, real talk, don't really matter. Do it online, do it in your house, right? Do it over the phone, do it in person, do it by writing, do it by video. It doesn't matter how you do it. And it's who you are, right? You are who you're becoming. So because I'm becoming the most effective and engaging Bible teacher on the planet, impacting of women of faith all across the globe, that's who I am right now, because I am who I'm becoming, right? You are who you're becoming. So, once you know what you do, once you know, like, this is who I am, this I am the most, then it's like, well, it don't really matter how I do it. I can do it on a podcast. I can write a book. I can do it on Sunday morning, Saturday morning, Wednesday night, at the corner, at the gas. Like, I can get it how I live it, wherever.
I'm just saying. Like, seriously, and it takes, and entrepreneurship is never easy. It's a lot of work, but it takes the pressure off of the how. It helps you pivot no matter what. The businesses that survived the pandemic that some people thought shouldn't, it's because they were doing what they do. They weren't worried about the how.
Yeah.
And because it's so many people married to the how.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm just like, I gotta be in person to give this information. I don't do well, over Zoom. Well, you're gonna be broke, and the people not gonna get what they get unless they get it from somebody else. So what are you going to do?
Yeah.
It's not the how, it's the what you actually do. That was so good. Get it high. Come on, for real. Okay, so okay, I can talk to you forever. Let me go ahead and ask you all the questions that I ask everybody else as we close out, so I can give you your day back. All right. What's one thing, as cliche as it sounds, you must believe to achieve?
What's one thing you must believe to achieve? That failure is a myth.
I love that. I love that. You got that for real song stuck in my head. Okay, focus.
Wait,
What's one
wait,
belief?
wait. Failure is a myth because we've already won. I just want to be clear. Maybe somebody didn't know that. Failure is a myth because God makes me win. I've already won. So this idea that I might fail, it's fake news. Failure is a myth. Just want to be clear. Sorry, go ahead.
No, no, no. You know, I just talked to Dion the other day, and the part of the conversation that I told her I recently had to accept is that we're always trying to make our next step our best step because we don't want to mess it up, right? And I was like, I just realized you can't mess it up. Like, if you do, that was part of the divine journey. Like, you were supposed to learn something from that, but it's not going to just totally negate the end result, the end thing that you're supposed to be doing. That was already written in your story for you to do that, for you to live through that, those lessons learned that we talked about earlier today. And so you're right, it's a myth because you've already won, because it's already been written, you know. And he gives us, the one thing we do have is choice, right? We can take loop 10 or we can go straight up I-20. It doesn't matter. You're gonna get to the same destination.
Yeah.
So yes, that's real good. Real good. What's one belief you had to unlearn in order to achieve your level of success?
That I gotta know all the parts. This idea that I have to know all of the parts and before I can start. That's so not true. You just got to know enough you literally only need to know where to start. That's it. You don't need to know, you don't even need to know the step after that. You literally only need to know, okay, but where do I start? You start here? Okay, well then start there. That's it.
Good stuff. Because the control freak in me is like, I need to know how to do everybody's job to make this car move. When in actuality, I just got to have the discernment to hire the right people to know the stuff that they know.
Yes.
So good. Okay, so what's one belief that you have that you want to always instill in your clients or your tribe?
Obedience over everything.
Mm.
Obedience to God over everything, over logic, over responsibility, over family obligation. It's an easy no if it means I have to disobey something that God told me or instructed me to do. It's a no for me, right? So this idea that we want to be responsible and we want to be logical, that does not lead to your ultimate success. Obedience is the only thing. And sometimes obedience looks like logic, but even when it doesn't, obedience is the undefeated champion of success, right? So obedience over everything.
I love that. That's a lesson I had to learn earlier this year, is that to be obedient even when it's not practical. Yeah. Most important, because everything about that situation, I was like, this just makes sense, Jateya. Why is it bothering and irritating your soul? Like, this is an easy win. Like, why? And I was just like, let me walk away. And once I did, I was like, oh, let's see what you did there. Appreciate you. But like, it bothered me because I am, the Capricorn to me is so logical. Like, everything, it just got to make sense, right? And everything about that situation made so much sense. It made so much sense. And I was like, he was like, no.
Yeah.
Chuck the deuces. And I had to. And once I did, I was like, oh, and my soul felt like I was agitated, like I was irritated with myself for talking about it so much. That's how agitated I was, right? So that over everything. Yeah. Absolutely love that. Okay, so how has embracing everything about you, all of you, contributed to your success or equipped you to do what you do?
It's accepting all of the things that are courage, all the courageisms, has allowed me to build an authentic tribe. They're a tribe that are authentically attracted to me. I have to waste any time pretending to be anything else. I'm not worried about what they might hear about me on social media, because if they hear it on social media, like, well, we know that in Bible study. You know what I'm saying? It allows me to show up in collaborative spaces because I am the same. Whatever you saw out there and you were like, oh, I want to collaborate with her, you knew I was going to be saucy. You knew I was going to be singing and low-key saying, ow. Like, you knew that because I say that everywhere, right? It just allows
I
me to
love
show up.
you.
I don't have to shuck and jive. It's freedom. It is so
Girl.
freeing. And when you are not wasting time, energy, and
Mm-hmm.
money to fit in and look apart or whatever, and you're low-key uncomfortable, it allows you to show up in all the glory that is you, and it's in that space that you kill it. So I kill it every time, and I kill it every time because I'm being my regular self.
Yes, that part, that exact part, because we know what we're gonna get and we're gonna love it every day. Like literally, y'all, I invited Courage to be in the Confident and Courageous Clarity Conference, and I told her, "Girl, do whatever." Like I know, no matter what she does,
Yeah.
y'all are about to get all the goody good. Like I just and I'm, God's still working on me, but I don't trust a lot of people to just go and do, especially when it comes with my babies, right? My businesses and things of that nature, and or what I'm giving to my people. I'm very overly protective. But when I know I could just say, go do and turn my back and go do something else, y'all, that level of freedom feels so good. So that's why community and your squad is so important because you don't worry and it's just going to compound the impact. And however they do what they do, because you know what they do,
Yeah.
and I know how well she does it, and the flavor that comes along with that, like the hood and holy, it just speaks to my soul. Like I'm just here for it every single day. So yes, love that. Okay, last question, which speaks to the squad. So before we tell the people how they can connect with you, any shout outs? Who's in your squad? Who have you connected with for success? We definitely heard about Olivia. She will be in the show notes.
Yes.
Olivia Hayward. You will be addicted to her jewelry and or her branding side.
You see I'm wearing them today, Jateya?
Girl, I had put one on and couldn't find the other one. And I was like, man, so I just grabbed some earrings so I wouldn't be late. But yes, she got a lot of my money, y'all. But yeah, who's in your squad? Who have you connected with for success?
So Jateya's in my squad. Let's start here, right? And first of all, just because I'm on your podcast don't mean you in my squad, so y'all ain't got to worry about me lying to y'all. Jateya's in my squad. She asked me to do stuff. I'm like, yep, I ain't opened their email till 2 days before. I'm like, I don't even know what Jateya want me to do. But it's the yeah for me, Jateya, whatever you need. So Jateya is in my squad. She's just a person that reminds me to collaborate more with more people, not just the people that have been in my inner circle for years, right? So y'all are here, so you know Jateya. Amber Michelle Likens. I always give her a whole government name. It's Amber Likens everywhere. She has certainly been amazing as far as like squad and helping me be successful. Erica Davenport, definitely helping me be successful. And Patrice Washington. I love to say people whole name. Patrice Cunningham Washington. She's also been absolutely amazing. Can I say one more?
Yeah.
Okay. And
Run the gamut.
Alicia D, who just climbed Kilimanjaro. Okay, exactly. Just climbed Kilimanjaro. She was the one who really introduced me to, like, I always wanted to be in business or whatever, but she really introduced me to the people in this space, right? Like to podcasts and that level of comfort, the type of conferences that I've never been to in this, just like higher, I'm like, there's people living like this. So I got to give a shout out to Alicia D. So I could go on and on because my squad is deep. We are army over here, fam.
Definitely that. I've been telling everybody this just because it tap dance all on my toes that don't have nothing to do with nothing that we just talked about, but I'm gonna share it with you anyway. So I was talking to my dad the other day, and he said, God don't want no scared soldier. And I was like, ooh, okay, let me do this thing that I know I'm supposed to do. And we weren't even talking about any of that, right? And I was like, okay, God, I see you, right? But it came to mind when you said how deep, because it is an army. Yeah. And you can't have any scared soldiers in your army or everybody gonna get hurt, especially the person that's afraid, right? And so the people that you named, I'm just saying,
Yeah.
they're not afraid to be about it at the end of the day. And so that's important when you're thinking about your squad. Okay.
Wait, one more. Laverta. I have to say Laverta Reams. I didn't mention her at the beginning because she's so new, man. She new. But
I know.
in.
Me and
It's
her had
weird.
a conversation the other day about you.
Yeah, she in. It's weird. It's a little weird because she new, but she in. I don't know that it would be a church without her influence, and her, not just her influence, but like she comes to work, right? I don't know that it would be a church without her influence and support. So she knew, that's why she didn't come to mind, because she only been here for 10 minutes, but baby, she in.
Love it. I love it. Oh, yeah. We're going to talk about her so we both can tag team, but that's another day.
Yes.
But okay, so tell the people how they can find you, and then I'm going to let you have your day.
Okay, you can find me at couragemolina.org. You can find all things Courage there. You can also find me across the World Wide Web. It's Courage Molina. Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, like literally I am Courage Molina every single place. You can Google it. Like I'm Courage Molina everywhere. Brand consistency, people. So just throw a rock at Courage Molina. It's me. It's fine.
I absolutely love it. Thank you. This has been really good. Really, really good.
Thank you so much for having me. And if I didn't say it, like obviously you guys are invited to Bible study on Saturday morning, couragemolina.org. Sign up, click the Bible study tab. It's fire. Ain't your grandma Bible study. They call me the Holy Ghost hypestress, snatching edges and saving lives. One scripture at a time, so come through. Thank you so much, Jateya.
I love you so much. Thank you, love.
Now you know why I was so excited for us to get into this episode. Courage and I always have such a good time, but our conversations are always so super good. I really hope you thoroughly enjoyed this episode as much as I did actually interviewing her. Have a marvelous, marvelous, marvelous Monday, and I'll see you back here, same time, same place next week.